Oh my goodness, we are going to have such a good time with this GRV. I have been looking forward to it for a very long time. I have a lot to say, perhaps feature length, like 35 minutes, maybe. I would love to make it 20 minutes. I don't think that's going to happen because we have story time in this GRV, which you guys like. Nutnfancy, story time, get your hot cocoa, grab a blanket, whatever you need to do. I'll start it off with this. You parents aren't as tricky as you think you are. You're not. There's a PSA from the Nutnfancy Project to you. You're not that tricky. You hide things you think from your children and they know where they are. Those Christmas presents you hide, you think you're so special and smart where you hid them, they know that location. Okay, if you have keys to a gun safe, they know where those keys are. Now, unless things have changed with children, and maybe they have and I'm not aware of it, kids are very inquisitive. They search the house for everything. They want to know mommy and daddy's secrets because maybe they find some candy. A special stash of candy, which, by the way, my dad did all the time. His favorite candy bar was a King Henry. He would buy like a huge box of King Henrys at this candy place in downtown Salt Lake City. This is before, mass quantities at Costco or Sam's Club. And he would hide them because he knew us kids would just totally munch them. And we would always find his candy stash and raid it. But we had to be careful because we couldn't raid like everything because he'd be, wise to it. He goes, I didn't remember eating 8 candy bars. So we just a little bit, we'd like surf off the top, like candy bar here, 2 here. And then next thing he knows, like, wow, I really went through that case of candy bars, those King Henrys so quickly. Your kids know where stuff is. Okay, so dad did, I say try, he did. Not so much for the kids, but he locked them up for anti-theft purposes. He did put the guns in a gun cabinet or case, whatever it was. It's like made of wood, had glass sliding doors showing the rifles. Below it had wooden doors that were lockable. Then he had a sliding lock on the glass doors. He hid the keys. He didn't tell us officially where they were. We always knew where they were. You're not as tricky as you think you are. Your kids know how to get to the guns usually, and you need to plan accordingly. Go watch my 2-part series posted like 40 years ago here, slight exaggeration, called Children of the Gun. Children of the Gun. 2-part series, and I talk about weapon safety, gun training for your children. And I define the different levels of their expertise and knowledge and trustworthiness. Foundational to that series is you need to have your children exposed to guns early, not late. You don't lock them up and keep them as a taboo secret. They're going to find the keys. Have so much exposure to these pistols, these rifles, these shotguns to your children in your presence, training them in the rules of gun handling and safety that they become commonplace in your house. They see a gun on the table and they think of it as a butter knife in the kitchen drawer. That's about how much interest it may hold for them if you do your job correctly. I know it is different from everything you hear. Everything you hear is lock the guns up. Don't let kids know you have guns. You lock the guns up. Listen, if you have a gun, if you have a dildo, your kids are going to find it. Trust me, PSA from TMP to you. I know you guys just spewed out your hot cocoa with that last comment, but we're here to have fun, and it is, by the way, very true. If you have dildos in the house, they're going to find them. maybe best not to have dildos. Oh my gosh, that's a good title for this video. I don't know if I could put that in the title. Oh my gosh, YouTube already hates me. They have demonetized me. They've taken away all my views. They list me at the very bottom. I don't trust anything in YouTube. I do not trust their subscriber numbers either. It's a bunch of shit. Back to dildos and guns though. So train your children how to operate and be proficient in gun use because they are your primary crew members and without rule of law. Told you it's story time here. We're burning up airtime. Well, I'll get to the guns. Trust me. You'll know everything there is to know about these Star pistols. Trust me. Yeah, they'll thank you later in life that mom, dad, you trained me in how to use a gun. And I don't care if they're female, male, it doesn't matter. If you have a little girl, train her how to be super proficient in shooting, so she's confident. And don't put her on a 357 Magnum initially. 22 pistols, air gun pistols, please. Start slow. Gain their confidence, gain their self-esteem, actually, as they operate these so-called dangerous things. There's all kinds of dangerous things in life. My dad was great at teaching us how to operate them, and it translated into what you see now, the Nutnfancy project. Fun video. By the way, when Dad would go out of town, I would take his keys, and my brother did this too, but my brother kind of had a different vein. He wasn't so much gun-oriented. He kind of liked them, but he wasn't like me. I was like infatuated with all weapons and firearms. Imagine that. And as soon as Dad would go out of town, because he was in the Air Force, he'd go TDY for like 2 weeks at a time. I would just grab the gun keys and I would just access whatever the hell I wanted to from the gun cabinet. I was like 10 years old, and I would sling my Remington Model 700 BDL and 30-06 across my shoulder, and I would bicycle up to the Utah foothills, Orem, Utah, Linden, Utah, and I would shoot all day. My dad never gave me permission, never knew about it. No one ever thought twice about seeing a 10-year-old on his well, it wasn't a mountain bike, it was a BMX piece of crap Murray bike, bicycling up with a damn 30-06 strapped to his back. Other Saturdays, it would be my Ruger 1022. Yeah, I went up all the time. And by the way, here we go. I know. You want to get to the guns. I would steal this out of the gun cabinet too and go shooting this. Here we go. Nutnfancy tabletop review on the Star BK BKM series. Whoosh! Yeah, I would take this out of the cabinet and go combat shooting with it. Did I know what I was doing at age 10? And by the way, I might be exaggerating on that. I know the rifles I went up really early, but I think it was later that I would go up with the Star BKM because I wasn't stupid and I didn't really know how it worked. And I had to wait for my dad to train me, which he did. I think it was probably around 13 is when I started stealing this and going up Saturdays up in the foothills and just shooting, well, rocks, cans, ground squirrels if I could get them. Yeah, Dad trained me in this. So this is my first exposure to a combat handgun. It is a 1911 battery of operations. Dad taught me all about it, how it worked, things to watch out for. Hey, son, it's got a very light trigger on it. If the safety is off, the hammer is cocked. If you just touch this trigger, you just fired a round. And it taught my brother and I and my sister how to shoot this. And I was grateful. I was like, well, that's cool. And this was his actual combat handgun of choice, the Star BKM. I'm sad to say this is not his. I wished it was. My brother inherited it. My brother got killed last year in a Honda Talon side-by-side in the Oregon dunes. So sad. So sad. Don't get me started. And his estate, his kids inherited it. And for me to get that gun would create a lot of family drama. So I haven't tried. I just went out and sourced this one several years ago to get it. And I got this one. And it is beat to hell. And I think my dad's is beat to hell as well. I looked at it in my brother's collection years ago. And I was like, ooh, that's a lot rougher than I remember. And this is about the same. This is about the same. They're just beat up. These are 1970s, 1911 guns. I said this was my dad's combat handgun of choice. That is a true statement. He carried this gun, I believe, in a Bianchi holster, like a pancake holster, concealed illegally all the time. Well, not all the time, but I bet you Dad carried,
now use this when you close it.
Just judging from my memory experiences, 60% of the time he had a handgun on him. This, of course, predating legal concealed carry by decades. My dad did this. And he told me this was his anti-bank robber gun, and I'm not joking around with that. I really don't remember if he had an experience in his life that made him feel like that he needs to have a gun in a bank because maybe he was in a heist or something. I don't remember. I do remember this. that he would carry this and said if he was in a bank robbery in the bank, like in the lobby, he would fake a heart attack, drop down, draw his Star BKM chambered in 9mm, 8+1, and come out a shooting. Round of applause for Grandpa Nutnfancy. Hey, he wasn't a perfect dad, but he did a lot of great things. A lot of great things. I have talked about him. It's good to put it again in a GRV. So he was a super stud, believed in being armed. Like I tell you guys, being armed gives you options, especially in an armed hostage situation, which I think he was getting at. He's like, I'm not there to protect the bank's money, but I'm not going to sit there and let them execute people on the floor, which, by the way, that did happen in the 70s, i.e. the Ogden Hi-Fi murders, where they rammed, I think, pins in the victim's ears. Sorry to be so graphic, but that's what happened. And my dad's like, yeah, that's not going to happen to me. And I inherited that, by the way. That same determination to not be a victim, right here, baby, right here. And it's with you, too. You super studs of the Nutnfancy Project. You're right there with me. Yeah. Hey, I'm going to victimize you. Oh, no, you're not. You're going to die. That's what happens in TMP. Yeah. So it would be great if I had Dad's BKM on the table, but it would look almost identical to this. The one thing I would say is that Dad, like me, replaced the grips. The grips that came on this particular Star BKM are right here. They're these traditional, period correct. These actually are the original Star grips. Right here, hard plastic. These are the ones that came on the gun, and they are completely serviceable. I.e. not, well, they're not beautiful, but they're serviceable. Why did I replace them? Because I like these better, and it reminds me of Dad. That's why. Because he did the same thing. He put walnut grips on his BKM, and that's what I grew up with. And I think these are even better than the plastic grips. They look good. These particular ones are gorgeous. They're really well executed. The checkering on them is just fantastic. They don't add any thickness to the pistol. Just really, really nice grips. Fantastic. So, combat pistol of the 1970s. Me stealing the keys, going out and shooting it, having a great time. And by the way, training. So, literally, I've represented this in some gun reviews. I do air quotes because was I a combat shooter? I don't know. All I know is I'm trying to hit targets and increase my speed. So I guess that qualifies. But I want you guys to understand as we kick off the specifics of this gun, maybe I come back to story time, of how groundbreaking this gun was. Now, you young whippersnappers in the project do not remember this because you're too young. But there were not a ton of reliable 9mm lightweight pistols in the 1970s. Now, I'm focusing on the 70s. We could say the 80s as well. This was 25 ounces, dudes. The Star BKM aluminum frame was 25 ounces, and it was reliable and accurate. It was groundbreaking, cutting edge. You just didn't see a lot of that back then. Concealed carry was not a thing. What really changed the gun market, the carry market, is concealed carry, legal concealed carry, because then you had millions of people, of good, patriotic, God-fearing people saying, I'm going to arm up so I'm not a victim. And this created a market where gun companies can make money, and that's when things really started to accelerate and change. That didn't happen in the 70s and 80s. That wasn't a thing then. That happened later. So for a Spanish company, Star, based in Eibar, Spain, in the 70s, to come out with this gun, amazing. Amazing. Now, I did say, and maybe you were paying attention, maybe you weren't, that this is a 2-for-1 review, right? It's not just a BKM, but I'm going to show its heavier brother, the 34-ounce steel-framed BM, which I also purchased. I think I got this one from J&G Sales for a whopping, you guys are going to hate me. You're going to hate me. $275. Where's my cone? Nutnfancy, I kind of hate you right now. Did you just say $275? Yes, I did. That's because I prepare and I watch. the markets. And I'm a value guy, so that means I try to buy things that are less money. But the same thing, the same item, I don't know if these are going to be available by the time I post this video. I don't know what the pricing is, but I did check last year and they were up to about $350. The steel framed Star BM, 34 ounces. This is the aluminum frame, 25 ounces. Both came out in the same era. Now, as I understand it, I'm not the end-all expert. Star went out of business in 1997. They went bankrupt. And I think that was along with Astra and Setme, Spanish gun concerns that were honestly pretty damn awesome. Very, very awesome. But choose your poison. Which one would you want to put in your collection right now? And there's a POU launch right there. The first and best reason I think that you could own a Star BKM, Star BM is for collecting. And every time you take your Star BKM out of your safe, which is probably left unlocked by your children since they knew where the keys were. Okay, maybe it's a push button code. They probably know that too. Nutnfancy, I have like my fingerprints. And unless it's my hand, it won't open. Okay, now you're talking. Now you're using technology. I still think you should train all your kids with all your guns. So when you take your Star BKM out of your pistol safe and fondle it, you'll be thinking of Grandpa Nutnfancy about how he was going to foil a bank robber with it. Yeah. Did I carry this concealed? No, I didn't. The 70s went by, the 80s went by, and by the 90s, I was in college, going through ROTC, got my commission, went to pilot training, survival training, ejection seat training, onto my assignments. No. And my dad got killed also in 1986, which is very, very sad. I know I've had a lot of tragedy in my life. That is no kidding. I have. Yeah, it's primarily collectible. They're just fun throwbacks and remembrances of times gone by. But get this. It's better than that, and I'm going to echo this throughout this GRV multiple times. These are competent guns even now. You're going to see comments below of people who own the BM, the BKM. They are going to echo what I say in this review. I guarantee it. TMPers and non-TMPers. They'll find this video and go, yep, what he said is true. These are legit guns. I would not feel underarmed at all going out with the BKM. I wouldn't do it with a BM. It's too damn heavy. 34 ounces. It's approaching the weight of a full-size 1911. Holy shit. No, this one I would.
Not too shabby.
Yeah, I could carry a Star BKM around. I feel, yeah, I'm good to go. Yeah, I know. It's 8+1. Gotcha. Not exactly high capacity, but, the first 3 shots are really the only ones I need. Because I've been training since the 1970s. Since the 1970s. Yeah, and philosophy of use, collect it. It's so fun. And again, you're going to hate me when I show you this. This one, the BM, look at the box that it came with. Look at the box. They call it an estuche box, like Bosch Spanish. Look at this, dudes. Oh my gosh. That is so historical. Look at the instructions that came with it. What? That is so cool. There it is, Ibar Spain. Look at this, how cool this is. It's almost you can smell history when I turn the pages. Oh, that's sad. That's their old factory out of business. Oh, I hate to see that. God, I hate to see gun places go out of business. Look at this cool, weathered, ancient history instructional manual for the Star BM. Oh my gosh, you should buy it just for the history. We're talking about collectability. Look at this. Oh my gosh, keep this in good condition all the time. Look at that. And it has a little cleaning rod in there. And this was J&G sales, dude. So good on them for importing these, saving this history, and making them available at such a low cost. And honestly, though, there's a estuche box. This box contains the following. It lists the items in Spanish. And by the way, I'm fluent in Spanish. Didn't know if you knew that. The reason these are so affordable, or at least were, this video may change that, is because there was no demand. There was a ton of availability of at least the BM, not the BKM. Those have always been somewhat rare. these have always been, I shouldn't say always, but they've been around for years and no one paid them any attention. They're like, I'm going to go get me a Glock 26, which by the way, I love. I love the modern pistols, but yeah, people just passed them by. They didn't pay any attention to them. And yeah, so the collectability is going to go up. I think it has. I mentioned already last time I checked, like on Gun Brokers, what I looked on, $350 for this one, more for that one, I bet you. Yeah, so we're talking a 1970s combat pistol, philosophy of use. I did mention I would carry it today. Would it be my first choice? No. No, thank you. No, there's better choices. And plus, it's a historical piece for me personally. I don't want to go put more waste wear on it. No, thanks. Yeah, how about as a gift for someone? Ooh, I love that philosophy of use. Yes. You give them that in the box. Someone you love. Maybe it's an ex-police officer, someone who's just retired. They're going to break down and start sobbing. With happiness, I'm talking. With happiness. Yeah, 1911 trainer. Don't do that one. Too rare. BM, I would say yes. It's 9mm chambering is much more affordable to shoot. Same 1911 battery of arms, single action, condition 1 carry. Absolutely. Even today, it makes good sense. Now, my favorite 1911 trainer in 9mm that I've shot so far in the project, I posted my review in August 2020 of the Springfield EMP4. Love that gun. Love that gun. That is a modern rendition of this formula. More rounds. Better accuracy. Let's just say more regulated accuracy. And by the way, I have paper targets to show you on this. I've done a lot of shooting. A lot of shooting on both guns. And actually, all my testing on this one was completed in 1979.
Shooting a little more inaccurately.
Truly it was. Truly it was. Okay. Gosh, POU, I could go on for another 10 minutes. Let's call it good. Features. It's a smallish 1911. It's a 1911 put in a shrinking machine. It has all the same features. Slide release in the same position, magazine release in the same position, safety in the same position, not ambidextrous, very old school. You know, same hammer as you have, I believe, on a government model. And I think that's what they took their inspiration off of. They just said, hey, we're just going to shrink that down to a 9mm. And by the way, they were not the only ones doing this. I want to say Llama did it too. Llama had some 1911s. They didn't look like a 1911. They kind of had some variations, but those were very 1970s guns as well. I grew up looking in Gun Digest all the time, and I was just mouth watering over the Ruger Security 6s and the Llama pistols, and actually this one too. Cool. So it has the same barrel bushing that you've seen in a 1911. Take the mag out. Look at this brass mag, dude. And I think it's 8 rounds. I should know this better. 8 rounds, 8 plus 1, so 9 total. This is the original magazine on the Star BM. And yes, I label everything because I have a bazillion magazines I have to keep track of. Look at the quality, though. This is built, heck, I don't even know the manufacturer date on this. I would guess this one was built early 70s, maybe even late 60s, to be my guess. And I would suspect this was a service pistol to some place in South America, because I believe Star had some contracts, and like the Spanish National Guard, La Guardia Civil, used these, and these could be their guns that have come back into country. So they were used, carried a while, and then they, for whatever reason, were re-imported into the United States. Century Arms brought them in. There you go. But 8 rounds for the time was good. It was good. Not a high capacity. I don't think anyone cared back then. I haven't even disassembled this one, and it was 100% functional. Not a lot of funneling going on there, but there is some. That's pretty amazing, actually, considering the era. Hard plastic grips on this one. These are actually the hard rubber grips. The ones I showed you are the hard plastic. They are a different material. I like these ones a little bit better, I think. And I've left them on. It's as it came to me from J&G. Your sights are fixed very well. 1911 government model-ish, right? I do find that your Star BK, BKM may not be regulated that well. let's see. I think this one is regulated better than this BKM. This shoots high right, and there's not a lot I can do about it. There's not a different front sight you're going to put on it. You're not going to mess up the rear sight. These are collectible in some degree, I think. Let's look at this one side by side. Nice wear on those. Very nice wear. Now, notice what I did on my BKM. That does not destroy the collectability at all. I just painted the front sight fluorescent orange. And this one is different than that one. That's why I say this is an earlier service pistol, the BM. This is a commercial variety, I believe, the BKM. It's serrated. That gives a really nice sight picture right there, though. Look at that. Oh, my goodness. Standard 1911 slide serrations. We're still looking at features. The triggers on these are fantastic. Fantastic triggers. This one here pulls at, excuse me, 4 pounds, 4 ounces on the BM. You heard right. 4 pounds, 4 ounces. Let's check the reset. I'm just kidding. No one cares about the reset. No one cares. Oh, this one has a mag disconnect. That's sad. Yeah, and by the way, don't dry fire these. There are some weak components in here. One of them is the firing pin, and Dad's BKM, the firing pin did break. He had to source another one. Another one is the barrel link. The barrel link on the Star BMs and BKMs is somewhat fragile. I actually had to go out and buy some extras because I was worried about it. The extras are made by Apex Apex gun parts. Actually, I don't know who makes them, but Apex is where I bought it from. So here you go. These are Star BM Auto Pistol Barrel Link. I have them labeled. You should do the same thing because if you die, nobody's going to know what these are. So hang on to these. The barrel links can shear. They are very affordable, as you can see. Keep them in stock. Yeah, so the barrel links and the firing pins could be an issue. That's why when I opened this up, you saw a snap cap in it. So if you're going to dry fire your BKM, put something like this in it. Great way to train also. Features. What else to say? That's about it, dudes. That is about it. Yeah, there's a CAI stamp on it, the importation. Such a cool gun. External extractor. Not internal. Yeah, external. That's nice. And a very shallow beaver tail. Perfect. Not obnoxious at all. I don't get hammer bite on these. Well, at all. At all. That's features down and dirty. This one being lighter. Which one do I prefer? Well, of course, the BKM. Because it's historical with me and my family. Also, I like the lighter weight. You know me and weight. The trigger on this one is not quite as good, incidentally. 6 pounds is what this one pulls. That's still pretty damn good.
Okay.
Pretty damn good. And by the way, I was joking about checking the reset. I was. Notice no magazine disconnect in this version. Yeah, no, I'm not going to check. Who gives a crap? It's just a 1911. It's really, really excellent. How do they shoot? In modern day terms, how do these shoot? I did mention these are legitimate carry pieces now. I will stick with that. And I will tell you, they shot fantastic in the TMP era. So I'm talking like nowadays.
Look at that.
Dad's gun. Star BKM.
Yes. Very cool.
Take her away.
All right. Very cool. There you go. Very nice.
You like?
Great little trigger on it.
Yeah.
I like it.
100% too. Oh, I spoke too soon.
Oh, we had one little...
I cursed you.
Oh,
Lock that slide open.
Yeah.
That's the first jam I've seen it do.
Yeah, pinched her over.
Oh, that's on the Celler and Bellet.
So over the past 2 years, I've shot both of these guns. You've been seeing me shooting them.
Stand by a second.
And I think I had some crew members shoot them with me.
Okay.
They also loved the guns. I don't remember any stoppages at all. Let me say that again. I don't remember any stoppages at all, which is amazing. Now, let me tell you, when I get these older pieces, I do field strip them. I do carefully lubricate them, as you should. And so I'm giving them every chance to work well. I did not replace the recoil springs, in case you're wondering. But that might be something else that you could keep on hand with this collection. They are inexpensive also. I'm sure there's some places that have them. By the way, I need to go get some. I just reminded myself.
I'm going to light loaded that one.
I need to go get them.
Now,
They shot fantastic. Reliable and fun. They are very pleasant to shoot. Very pleasant to shoot. And let me show you the accuracy out of these sons of guns. Look at this, dudes. So here's, I told you a couple years. It's 2022 when I'm filming this. Here's 2020. First shots out of the BKM, 7 yards standing. That is fantastic. For a 1970s bank robbery foiling piece. Here's some more. I said, excellent gun. Shoots a bit high. Trigger okay. Look at that group here. Look, what? What the heck? That is a great group. This is a rapid fire group at 7 yards. That is fantastic for rapid fire. Look at this. Can you even believe that group?
Right.
Absorb that, boys and girls. Just think on that. That this here we're looking at a relic historical piece out of the tombs of Egypt shooting that well. That is unreal. By the way, I lied. I'm so glad I wrote this on the target. I did have one jam out of the BM. I wrote it right here. Yeah, out of the bowel movement, I had one jam. Oh, and there's my point of aim. So this is shooting high left. Nice group, though. Look at that. The regulation on these guns, sight regulation, like I mentioned, may not be so awesome. You'll just have to live with it. You can drift that rear sight left and right. Do so carefully so you don't mar it up. Look at that. Oh, my gosh. So that looks like a rapid fire or somewhat rapid. At least that would be my excuse. Fantastic group. Fantastic group. And just for reference, here's a genuine Browning high power at 8 yards standing. It's shooting about the same. By the way, a real Browning high power is amazing. Watch for my tabletop. I'll get around to it sooner or later. You're going to love that one. That's going to be a fun feature-length review. Look at that, dudes. So I would say the accuracy is phenomenal. Albeit you'll have to deal with the sight regulation issues. You can drift left or right. Notice, by the way, there's no grip safety on these. I love that. And that, of course, brings us to the part, would I buy a Star BKM or BM? You know the answer. You know the answer. Absolutely. It's a no-brainer. Well, no-brainer, at least in terms of value. If like this gun or this gun goes higher, I don't know if I'd go out and spend $500 on either of these pieces. I would probably have waning enthusiasm after 350. That's just me. Now, who knows what time will do to these guns? Do I think they're going to go way, way, way up in value? I don't think so. There's too many of them. Well, not a ton, but there's 217,000 BMs made between 1972 and 1992. That's a fair amount. I do think a lot of them have been mistreated, maybe rusted out, because these are guns you want, especially the BM, you want to keep oiled up. It's completely blue. There's no modern coating on this. It will rust like crazy. Crazy. Oh, by the way, I don't know if you noticed this. There's a little tiny hole drilled right here in your BM, BKM, and this is to reduce stress fractures in that area of the slide. That's why that's there. Very cool. Yeah, they are fantastic pieces. They enter into the Hall of Fame of 1970s, 1980s guns, just like my beloved, much beloved Smith & Wesson Model 59, boys and girls. You didn't see that one coming, did you? Go watch my review on the Model 59. It's going to be the same type of thing, where I'm just raving and blabbering about how awesome it is. I love this gun. By the way, an elite donor just contacted me in Patreon and told me he just found a Model 59 And I congratulated him for being so smart. And I said, dude, go out and source those freaking Mekgar magazines. They are fabulous. What is this? It's like an 18-rounder, 17-round magazine. Model 59. These are compatible with a lot of other different guns too, like the Marlin Camp carbine uses a Model 59 magazine. So does a Daewoo DP51 uses the same magazine. So at least in the 90s, it was a pretty common magazine. There you go. So you didn't see a Model 59 coming on tabletop. Yeah, they're great guns. Highly, highly recommended. By the way, here's your slide to frame fit. Just right. It's not too loose, not too tight. That's why they are so reliable. This BM is actually a little bit better. But you saw the accuracy. What more do you need to know? There you have it. There you have it. What a fun review. Oh my gosh, what a fun review. Thank you so much for clicking on it. And what do you know? 35 minutes, just like I predicted. I said 35 minutes. We were right there. How do you know that, Nutnfancy? I don't know. Fred Perrin, Street Beat. Ultra lightweight police model from Spyderco. Highly, highly recommended. This is a Warrior Mini 2 from Olight. Links below. Buy with confidence. And let me know, by the way, especially if you're a Patreon member, if you do have one of these or you're going to get one, just drop me a 2-sentence message in Patreon. Those are the only messages I ever get. I have to like fight burnout, so I get to them on occasion. On occasion, I'll get to them. So be patient with me. I'd be curious to know, and I'll be watching the comments below. And oh, one more thing before I end. There are extra magazines for these. So these are triple Ks. They're not super inexpensive, $50 a piece. But there you go. You want to have extra mags if you end up shooting your BM or BKM. Thank you so much. See you next video. This is fun.